Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. So many of you responded to my Argenta build and, frankly, my overview guides with the same comment. It seems like Argenta sucks. Seems like bolters kind of suck. Do bolters ever get better? Why can't I use bolters in my playthrough? And most likely, the answer is the same for all those responses. You are not properly debuffing enemies before you attack them. In Rogue Trader, it's essential to strip away an enemy's defenses first in order to ensure you can successfully do whatever it is you want to do. And in my opinion, there's no party member you get that's better at this task than Pasqal. So let me say right up front, this build is strictly about debuffing. You get a whole bunch of party members that are great at dealing damage. Only a couple are good at setting up the party members to deal fantastic damage. And I go all in on Pasqal, so I don't care about how much damage he does at all. His whole purpose on my team is to ensure that Argenta and Heinrichs can do whatever it is they want to do. Let's get into it. So first and foremost, he automatically comes with Melta, Plasma, and Bolter weapon proficiency. I really like putting Plasma weapons onto him. They get a nice area attack. Again, he's not going to use it all that often, but it's still nice to have. And he comes from a Forge world, so he's going to get Subskin armor, which is going to give him a bonus to armor equal to 5 plus twice his toughness bonus. You're not going to be increasing toughness all that often, if at all, but still, this initial bonus is nice to have. And then he's also going to get Part Machine 1, which gives him +1 to deflection, plus 10% armor, and he's going to suffer 5% penalty to dodge. And that lets you know right up front, he's not great at dodge, right? So you're going to have medium armor on him most times, and it's going to hurt his dodge, and that's okay. He shouldn't be in the thick of things anyway. And then finally, he gets Scanner McCandendrite, which is going to increase his perception by 10. Very, very nice if you wanted to use him for a more damage-oriented build. Doesn't mean that much in our build, but still, not bad to have. And then last on the list, he actually gets an ability you can use in combat, Machine Spirit Communion. So this is going to decrease the recoil for all of your ally weapons by an amount that scales with its intelligence bonus, while also decreasing enemies' dodge by an amount that also scales with its intelligence bonus. And then he's going to do the exact opposite for enemies, increasing their recoil while also increasing party member dodge bonuses. This is really, really nice on our team since burst weapons are impacted by recoil. So he's going to make Argenta and Ulfar able to dodge more, but also even more importantly, he's going to make their burst attacks more effective. Very, very nice. All right, now let's get into the archetype abilities. And Pasqal starts with Operative, which means he automatically gets Analyze Enemies. Now, Analyze Enemies is both a passive and an ability that you use actively in combat. Passively, it allows you to put one stack of an exploit on all enemies that are in Pasqal's line of sight. And then if he hits an enemy that has an exploit stack, that attack will deal more damage equal to 5 times his perception bonus. The damage is also increased by 10% for each exploit on the target. But the attack is going to remove all of the exploits on the target, right? Now, he also gets the ability to use Analyze Enemies, which lets him place exploits on enemies. And the amount that's placed on enemies scales up with his intelligence bonus. So obviously, this is a great way to be able to deal more damage towards an enemy. And as we go through the mechanics, you'll also see how it serves as a great anchor to debuff enemies to help out your allies. At level 2, Pasqal automatically gets an increase to tech use, which is fantastic. Tech use is the skill that you want him focused on. When tech use isn't available, you want him focused on logic. And then if neither one of them are available, go ahead and focus on Metakai. Cassia is on my team. She's going to be increasing perception, so she'll focus on awareness. Lord Highlander is going to use an item that'll cause Lord Imperium to scale off fellowship instead of intelligence. So he's going to be responsible for Lord Imperium. And then Heinrichs automatically starts with a nice bonus in Lord Xenos. So I'm going to have him focus on Lord Warp and Lord Xenos. So the only thing Pasqal can really help with is Medikai. And he's not helping the team with it, but it'll just allow him to be able to heal himself and make him a little more self-sufficient. At level 3, Pasqal will automatically get Exposed Weakness, which allows you to remove all the exploits from the target, but then you decrease the target's dodge, parry, and armor by an amount that's equal to 10, plus however many exploits you removed times your perception bonus until the start of your next turn. So this is a fantastic way to cause an enemy's defenses to absolutely plummet and open them up for attacks from your party members. Great stuff. Then at level 4, he's automatically going to get his Heroic Act, which is Dismantling Attack. This is an attack that automatically hits its target and it inflicts one exploit on all enemies in combat. Until the end of combat, whatever target you hit is going to suffer a 30% penalty to dodge and armor. Great stuff. This is a fantastic way to cause the defenses of a really tough boss to absolutely plummet. And then finally, he automatically comes with the passive learning talent. So on his first turn in combat, he's going to randomly distribute the same number of exploits as when using analyzed enemies. And remember, that number is going to scale with your intelligence bonus among all enemies in a 10-cell radius around you. So at the start of your subsequent turns, it's also going to distribute half as many exploits around you. So it's just a great way to ensure that enemies are constantly getting more exploits every round, and you're definitely going to be glad that he has this. All right, that's everything Pasqal automatically comes with. So from here on out, you get to make your own decisions, starting with what characteristics to focus on, and you want to go with intelligence first. A lot of things you get in operative are going to scale off intelligence. Secondary, you're going to focus on perception, because as you've already seen, a lot of what he gets scales off of perception. And then finally, we are going to have him hanging around in the back. So ballistic skill is what you're going to level up next, so that he has at least a little bit of effectiveness when it comes to using ranged weapons. And for your first common talent, I would take Persistence of the Forge. It's going to give you a 10% bonus to hit chance and dodge reduction against any target you hit with a single target attack. For the first few levels, Pasqal doesn't have enough mechanics in order to be the master debuffer he will turn into. So this is going to ensure that he's effective offensively for the time being while you need him to take out one target at least per turn. On your next turn, pick up the Joint Offense talent. This is going to allow the entire team to gain a bonus to hit chance and critical hit chance equal to half your intelligence bonus when attacking targets affected by exploits, which should basically be just about all of the enemies you're facing. So this is absolutely great stuff. And then for your first ability choice, take Joint Analysis. Until your next turn, allies attacks remove exploits and deal intelligence bonus more damage. So it's going to add even more damage on top of the additional damage you already do from Joint Offense anytime you're attacking an enemy that has at least one exploit. Great stuff. For your next talent, get Weak Body, Weak Soul. It's going to expand the capabilities of Exposed Weakness to also reduce enemies' toughness and willpower by an amount equal to 3 times your intelligence bonus, further ensuring when you use Exposed Weakness on bosses and elites, it's very effective at stripping away their defenses. For your next common talent, I would pick up Swift Movement. So Pasqal, again, is going to be heavily focused on debuffing. Consequently, a lot of the offensively focused options don't really make much sense for him. So you might as well focus on something that's going to help ensure he can get around wherever he needs to go. So you might as well focus on ensuring he can always get to the spot where you need him to be. And for your first heroic upgrade, I would go with the second option. It's going to reduce the weapon and ballistic skill of the target you hit by 30 until the end of combat. There are absolutely going to be some bosses that'll take a little bit for you to bring them down, and to cripple their offensive capabilities like this will be very helpful. Also at this level, you can no longer increase tech use, so make sure you switch over to logic. At the next level, you're not going to be able to increase intelligence anymore, so pick up perception. For your next talent, pick up Uncanny Sight, which allows you to inflict an exploit even on enemies which are out of your line of sight at the start of your turn. Again, helping to ensure that all the enemies in combat are going to receive at least one exploit. Also on this level, you can no longer increase logic, so switch over to Metakai. For your next ability, pick up Tactical Knowledge. This is going to allow you to remove one exploit from each enemy in a 5-cell radius, and then it's going to allow allies to gain additional armor equal to twice the number of removed exploits, and it's a percentage increase until the end of combat. If 4 more exploits are removed this way, Pasqal will gain additional damage equal to the amount of removed exploits until the end of combat. So obviously this is really nice all the way around if you're able to use it on a large group of enemies. So usually I start Pasqal doing this, and then again, since the bonuses last until the end of combat, you don't have to worry about it again. Next up, I would take Grenadier. This is going to make Pasqal's first use of a grenade cost no AP and not contribute towards the attack limit that turn. Since he already has swift movies, he's going to be able to move around a little bit more, and sometimes he will need to get a little bit closer in order to properly deploy his debuffs, so he'll be close enough where sometimes throwing out a grenade is going to make a lot of sense. Next up, take Combat Insight. When the operative's perception bonus is 10 or higher, they gain 1 action point and ignore enemy's deflection. The ignore deflection part is irrelevant, but plus 1 AP is going to just allow you to throw out more of those awesome debuffs, so definitely pick this up. On the next level, you can no longer increase perception, so go ahead and increase ballistic skill. Speaking of increasing ballistic skill, for your next common talent, you might as well go ahead and pick up Plasma Weapon Expert. I usually have Pasqal using plasma weapons, and it's going to increase the maximum damage by 2. Every so often, he'll have enough extra AP, or it'll just make sense for him to go ahead and take out a particular enemy. And then for your last Heroic Act upgrade, I will go ahead and take the third option, which is going to reduce the dodge and armor of all enemies around the target by 15% until the end of combat. Very, very nice way to debuff multiple foes. All right, and with all of that, Pasqal is already absolutely fantastic at debuffing enemies and giving your allies significantly more damage when they're attacking enemies that have exploits. But we're just getting started. Now we're going to flip him over into Bounty Hunter. And the first thing he's going to get is Hunt Down the Prey. This ability can be used up to 3 times per combat on different enemies, and you will get bonuses when that enemy is killed by you depending on its difficulty tier. So if it's up to tier 2, you're going to get 25% of your maximum wounds as temporary wounds. If it's up to tier 3 or 4, you're going to get additional critical damage and critical hit chance that scales with the difficulty tier of the enemy. And if it's above tier 4, then you're going to get both bonuses. So obviously this is a great way to stack both critical hit chance and critical damage high, but also Bounty Hunter provides you with a lot of opportunities to effectively debuff enemies. So let's look at it. The first ability you want to pick up is Call the Bold, and it's going to cause your next attack to have several buffs. So it's going to deal additional damage based on your ballistic skill. Enemies' armor is going to be reduced. Enemies' dodge is also decreased. And most importantly, if the enemy that you attack is marked as prey, the armor and dodge reduction granted by Call the Bold also works for the attacks of your allies. So basically, you want to turn this on, attack a boss, and then let the rest of your allies go absolutely ballistic on it. Great stuff. Next up, you want to take Savor the Kill. Whenever prey that is not being trailed, and we'll talk about trail in a bit, is killed by an ally, the bounty hunter gains an extra turn with half of their movement and action points. The bounty hunter cannot attack during this extra turn, but that's irrelevant. We don't want it for attacking. We want Pasqal to have more opportunities to throw out those amazing debuffs, and Savor the Kill is going to ensure he's able to do exactly that. On the next level, you're automatically going to get the Heroic Act Wild Hunt. We're not going to go through it because honestly, you should never be using it. Pasqal is not here for damage. So at the most, you're going to be using your Heroic Act from Operative. But frankly, the vast majority of the time, you're going to be using Heroic Acts from other characters. Pasqal is not here to take up Heroic Acts. He's strictly here for debuffing. On the next level, you're going to get an increase in action points, which again is fantastic. It's going to help you throw out more debuffs. And then your ability to increase characteristics is refreshed. So let's go ahead and go back to intelligence. And then for your common talent, I'm going to choose base skill, tech use. This could be different in the full game because I don't know what kind of balancing Alcat has done. But in the beta, tech use and logic, their checks both rose to astronomical heights to the point that even though Pasqal was steadily focusing on both intelligence and those two skills, he still was failing checks on a regular basis for me. So I plan to go ahead and take the base skill and advanced skill options in order to ensure that I don't fail those checks. For your next talent, take Pounce. The Bounty Hunter's allies gain 3 plus your perception bonus critical hit chance against enemies affected with one or more of the following effects. Prey, which you should be throwing out at least 3 every combat. Trailed, which we'll talk about in a bit, or immobilized, which Pasqal doesn't do, but one of your other party members may or may not do it. So all the way around, this is great stuff. For your next ability, pick up Raid. Until your next turn, whenever an ally attacks a target marked as prey, this attack deals an additional damage equal to your perception bonus. For your next ability, pick up Raid. Until the Bounty Hunter's next turn, whenever an ally attacks a target marked as prey, that attack is going to deal a percentage additional damage equal to your perception bonus, and the ally gains half of the Bounty Hunter's current bonuses to critical hit chance and critical damage granted by Hunt Down the Prey. All the way around, absolutely fantastic. Really is going to help out your team. For your next talent, take Kill Squad, which is going to allow Raid to grant allies an additional percentage damage equal to twice the prey's difficulty tier. So once again, not only do you want Pasqal to be focused on debuffing, you want him focused on debuffing the absolute toughest bosses on the field. And now finally, we get to focus on skills again, so go ahead and choose Tech Use. And on the next level, you can no longer increase intelligence, so switch over to Perception. For your next common talent, take Advanced Skill Tech Use. For your next skill, take Gruesome Kill. Whenever prey is killed, all enemies in a 10-cell radius around the prey have their agility reduced by 5 times the prey's difficulty tier for 2 rounds. Huge debuff to agility. Absolutely pick this up. On your next turn, you can no longer increase intelligence, so pick up Perception. And then you also have an upgrade for Wild Hunt, but again, we're not going to use Wild Hunt, so I'm not going over the upgrades. For your next talent, take Share the Spoils. Whenever an ally kills prey, the Bounty Hunter gains half of the bonuses granted by Hunt Down the Prey. For your next talent, take Flay the Bold, which is going to cause Cole the Bold to remove additional deflection, willpower, and toughness from the target. Absolutely, this is great stuff to have. On your next turn, you can increase intelligence or perception, so go ahead and focus on ballistic skill. For your next common talent, take Base Skill Logic. And then for your last ability, take Hot on the Trail. So using this is going to end your turn, but all allies gain a 7% hit chance against a trailed enemy and 15% more if the enemy's difficulty tier is more than or equal to 5. It costs 0 AP to activate this, so you can basically do your whole regular turn and then switch this on to the hardest enemy that's still alive and let your allies absolutely go crazy. Great stuff. When it's used for a 3rd time during combat, you will recover 1 charge of Hunt Down the Prey. So this is also going to allow you to use more prey during combat. For your next talent, take Trail and Shatter, which causes Hot on the Trail to now have unlimited range, and it reduces the target's armor by an amount that scales with your perception bonus for 2 rounds. Absolutely pick this up. Next, you can no longer increase tech use, so go ahead and switch over to logic. And now we've chosen most of the options that are really good for debuffing, so we'll take Share the Spoils. Whenever an ally kills prey, the Bounty Hunter gains half of the bonuses granted by Hunt Down the Prey. For your next common talent, take Advanced Skill Logic. And once again, we don't care about the upgrades for Wild Hunt. With both of those archetypes completely filled out, you'll become an Exemplar, but you'll already be an absolute debuffing monster. There is a link to a spreadsheet guide in the description if you want to see all the options that I would probably select for Exemplar, along with links to my guides walking through the mechanics for both Operative and Bounty Hunter if you want to see more information. The only thing that I'll mention in the video for Exemplar is that without question, the first talent option you should choose is Know-It-All, which might be probably one of the best passive buffs in the entire game. It's going to give you a bonus to armor, armor penetration, dodge, dodge reduction, critical hit chance, critical damage, and parry chance that scales with your intelligence bonus. Just absolutely it's going to make Pasqal a monster. And by this point, considering how much additional AP you get as well, he'll be not only a debuffing monster, but really, really nice attacking as well. I'll let you see the items, but honestly, I didn't find anything that was all that great for Pasqal. This combo tool does give him a plus 20 to tech use. That's nice for his build. But for the most part, this was kind of just regular stuff that doesn't really help the build that I have for him. So I'm hoping when I go through the main game, I'll find better equipment. Obviously, you want to keep him with an Omniscient Axe for those times when he has to do things in melee. And I did give him the best plasma gun I can find for him. So that was really cool. That worked for him. But other than that, I didn't find stuff that was all that great that I would really call out for this build. But overall, hopefully that really helps you all and helps you understand why having Pasqal on your team is going to be of such great assistance to other party members, especially Argenta. Your whole team just benefits both from a combat and a skill perspective from having Pasqal in the group. As always, if you got any comments or questions, leave them down below. I'll be happy to help and answer. Hope all of you enjoy this video. Take care.